dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Minnesota Supreme Court Justice Alan Page.
Thank you. Governor Dayton, Lieutenant Governor-elect Smith, Attorney General Swanson, State Auditor Otto, Secretary of State-elect Simon, Senator Klobuchar, Vice President Mondale, members of the court, honored guests, and fellow Minnesotans. It is my privilege to welcome you to this historic inauguration ceremony. Let me begin by thanking the members of the 34th Infantry Division Red Bull Band Brass Quintet, the Mount Vernon Gospel Choir, and Casey Riddle for the beautiful and inspirational music they provided for today's event. As some of you may know, I have been known to, on occasion, practice my sousaphone playing on unsuspecting ears from time to time. It is a great credit to the governor that I was invited to provide the welcoming remarks and not the music that preceded them. Let us remember this as the first great decision of the governor's second term. We have gathered to share in a ceremony that both honors and celebrates the responsibilities and gifts of our Constitution. The women and men that will be sworn in today have dedicated their time, their talent, their wisdom, and their energy to serve as constitutional officers of this great state. And today will affirm their support of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Minnesota. The solemnity of these proceedings symbolizes the awesome responsibilities placed on the shoulders of these public servants as they prepare to assume or resume their duties for the management of our government, the safekeeping, the protection of our communities, the safekeeping of the public's assets, and the defense of our democracy. But just as we honor our duties under the Constitution, let us also celebrate the great gifts afforded to us by the Constitution, which are reflected in today's inauguration. Over the past years, the Minnesotans, why is everybody still standing? Please be seated. I didn't know I had that much power. Over the past year, we Minnesotans engaged in a spirited discussion and debate over the future of our state, the freedom and mobility afforded to us by safe communities and reliable infrastructure allowed Minnesotans to engage in the political process. By the millions, we willingly participated in an open and fair election. An independent and important and impartial court system gave every Minnesotan the right to seek justice if those freedoms were denied. And today we peacefully and respectfully bestow the powers and duties of elective office to those chosen by the people of this state. The fact that none of this seems remarkable is a testament to the enduring strength of our Constitution. And I am deeply humbled to be a small part of this process. And to honor Minnesota's constitutional officers as they prepare to assume office. Thank you all for sharing in this important ceremony. I now want to welcome Rabbi Marcia Zimmerman, Senior Rabbi of Temple Israel in Minneapolis, who will provide the invocation.
Okay, now you get to stand again, but I promise I'll have you sit right after. Please rise. As we gather here in this historic building, we are here to look forward to history in the making. From all religious and humanistic traditions, we offer our prayers to elected and appointed public servants who today continue and begin anew. We offer our prayers to the families as well, for God only knows I understand what that means. May they, those who will be blessed in today, and all who serve our state, continue to be our conscience, the heroes and heroines of flesh and blood that emulate as witnesses to wisdom, freedom, mutual respect, and largeness of spirit. It is said that a nation is a work of art and a work of time. May they have the creative flair to solve complex issues on our behalf in this complicated and fascinating time we live in this state that binds all of us as citizens. This noon, the eve before the legislative journey begins, I offer thanks before you, O God. May the entrance of this state of Minnesota be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the threshold of this state be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May it be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Rabbi Zimmerman. We will now move to the moment we've all been waiting for, the swearing in of our constitutional officers. And we will begin with Attorney General Lori Swanson taking the oath of office. Lori Swanson was elected the 29th Attorney General of the state of Minnesota in 2006 and was re-elected in 2010 and 2014. Minnesota's Supreme Court Chief Justice Lori S. Gilday will administer the oath. Joining Attorney General Swanson is her husband.
I, Lori Swanson, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of Attorney General of the State of Minnesota to the best of my judgment and ability. So help me God. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon. I was searching for a quote that I could read today that appropriately conveyed some of the responsibilities that a public official undertakes on a day like today. And I ended up settling on some words that are etched into this stone that I keep on a bookshelf in my office. The words, which are from the book of Proverbs, read as follows: "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, and for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly." I want to thank all of you gathered here today and all of our fellow Minnesotans for the trust that you've placed in me and for giving me the honor and the responsibility of representing you as Minnesota's Attorney General. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Attorney General Swanson. Next, State Auditor Rebecca Otto will take the oath of office. Rebecca Otto was elected Minnesota's 18th State Auditor in 2006 and was re-elected in 2010 and 2014. Justice David Lillehog will administer the oath. Joining State Auditor Otto are members of her family. I, Rebecca Otto, do solemnly swear
I, Rebecca Otto, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Auditor of the State of Minnesota
of Auditor of the State of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. I'm so humbled and honored to serve for a third term as the Minnesota State Auditor. As you know, I love this job. Ensuring transparent, accountable, efficient, effective government is essential for the people's trust in their government. For my third term, the big need that I see is really looking to identify and quantify in one place infrastructure needs at the local level, community by community. We know it's an issue, and as auditor, it might not be sexy work, but it's very, very important. I think it'll be a good planning tool for folks. Minnesota is a great state for many, many reasons. And one thing I love about it is our work ethic and our drive for excellence. For some of us, your family has been here for generations after immigrating to the U.S., and for some of us, we're new to Minnesota and the U.S. But to all of you, I say thank you. Miigwech, tak, gracias, uachao, kamon ban, mahatsenet, asante, abrigato, thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations, State Auditor Otto. Next, Secretary of State-elect Steve Simon will take the oath of office. Steve Simon has served in the Minnesota House of Representatives since 2005, and today will be sworn in as Minnesota's 22nd Secretary of State. The Chief Justice will administer the oath. Joining Secretary of State-elect Otto is his wife.
I, Steve Simon,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office
of
Secretary of State
of the State of Minnesota,
of the State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
Thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's a great honor to be with you here today. I first want to thank Secretary of State Mark Ritchie, who's with us here today, for his years of service and devotion during a time of close elections and unparalleled scrutiny. Mr. Secretary, and of course, I want to thank my fellow Minnesotans for allowing me the great honor of serving as Secretary of State, an honor I take very seriously. The Office of Secretary of State, of course, has many duties, from helping businesses to protecting victims of domestic violence, but most Minnesotans think of the Secretary first as the Chief Administrator of Elections. In Minnesota, we know how important elections can be. We know that voting matters. We know that we have to make democracy real for everyone. And we know that finding common ground is the best way to get results. That vision of voting has been the Minnesota way. This year, America will mark the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. When President Lyndon Johnson signed that act into law on August 6, 1965, he rightly called it a triumph for freedom as huge as any victory that's ever been won on any battlefield. The Voting Rights Act brought millions of Americans out of the shadows by bringing an end to their silence. We didn't just make a promise, we made it policy, the law of the land, to give millions of Americans a voice by giving them a vote. Now, like most landmark legislation, the Voting Rights Act was controversial at the time, and the debate in Congress was sometimes bitter. But Minnesotans did what they do best. They found common ground. In 1965, Minnesota had a congressional delegation that was very divided politically. Vice President Mondale knows. He was then U.S. Senator and was part of that delegation. The members of our delegation disagreed sharply on many prominent issues of the day: Vietnam, Medicare, immigration. But when the roll was called on the Voting Rights Act, Minnesota's delegation spoke with one voice. All of our voting members, senators and representatives, Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives, voted to affirm the fundamental right for all Americans to have a direct voice in their government. That is the Minnesota way. Now, it doesn't mean that we always agree with one another. It doesn't mean that we set aside politics. It means we always remember that politics is the means to an end, not an end in itself, especially when it comes to the fundamental right to vote. Over the past 50 years, we've put those principles into practice in our state election system, and that Minnesota system has become one of the most copied and envied in the nation. But there's more to do, and we can do new things, bold things, the Minnesota way. We can make it easier for all eligible Minnesotans to vote. We can reduce the gap between those who vote regularly and those who don't. We can ensure that our elections are open and honest, safe, and trustworthy. As Secretary of State, I'll work with anyone of any political affiliation from any part of our state to secure and strengthen our right to vote in Minnesota, to help make our democracy worthy of our best traditions. Together, the Minnesota way. Thank you, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Congratulations, Secretary of State Simon. There's supposed to be
Ladies and gentlemen, Greater Mount Vernon Baptist Church Choir.
one witness today. Believe you can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. We're more than conquerors. Let us keep on marching on, doing the right thing. Because yes, all things are possible for those who believe. God made me who I am. Come on. Some of you might be having a bad day today, but I come to tell you to lift your head up. You ask the question, is everything all right? Yes, everything is fine. Because God made us. He made you, He made all of us. And everything is all right. Give God the praise. He's worthy.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Now I'm going to do something daring here. I'm going to go off script just for a moment. Someone suggested to me earlier that a certain senator and vice president is celebrating a birthday today. And I think we should acknowledge that. Now we will move on to the swearing in of Lieutenant Governor-elect Tina Smith. For the past 3 years, Tina Smith has served as Governor Dayton's Chief of Staff. Before her time in the governor's office, she served as the Chief of Staff to Minneapolis Mayor R.T. Ryback. Today, she will be sworn in as the 48th Lieutenant Governor. Justice Lillehog will administer the oath, and joining Lieutenant Governor-elect Smith are members of her family.
I've never done this before.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tina Smith, do solemnly swear
I, Tina Smith, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
Lieutenant Governor of the State of Minnesota
of Lieutenant Governor of the State of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice Lillehog. Governor Dayton, I am honored to serve with you. And I am deeply grateful for your service to Minnesota. Chief Justice Gilday, Justice Page, Senator Klobuchar, my friend and mentor, Vice President Mondale, happy birthday. To my parents, Harlan and Chris Flint, to my husband, Archie, and dear sons, Sam and Mason, and Louis Mondale. Distinguished guests, friends, and Minnesotans, I am honored by your presence, and I am so honored to be sworn in as Minnesota's 48th Lieutenant Governor. In 1882, Charles Alfred Pillsbury completed construction of the Pillsbury A Mill, the largest flour mill of its time in the world, on the banks of America's greatest river. His drive for a better way revolutionized flour milling in America, changed the way wheat was grown, and changed Minnesota and the world for the better. In truth, Minnesota has been a capital of invention, a veritable hotbed of creative thinking, ingenuity, and how can we get this done thinking since before written history. Starting with the Dakota and Ojibwe people, who invented better ways to harvest and preserve food and to survive brutal, brittle Minnesota days like today. It's amazing when you think about it. People living in Minnesota invented the first autopilot used in airplanes during World War II. We engineered a new process to take low-grade iron ore and turn it into valuable taconite, and so saved a way of life and an economy on the Iron Range. Minnesotans developed advances in agriculture to feed the world. We pioneered open heart surgery and pacemakers. We invented HMOs, supercomputers, wet-dry sandpaper, Post-it notes, Harrelson apples, water skis, snowmobiles, snow blowers, and winter-hardy alfalfa. Not to mention Bisquick, Spam, Tonka trucks, and Twister. These inventions have made life better, safer, healthier, and more fun for millions. But we have to ask ourselves, why has a state that has such a relatively small population produced so much invention? Well, we often talk about our rich natural resources and our well-educated people, and certainly that's important, even essential. But invention requires something more. It requires the capacity to see possibility, connection, and relationships where others just see problems. Inventors see something that isn't working great and ask, how can we make it work better? Inventors bring urgency to their work. They're ready, they're hungry to make progress. Well, I would say that this is a characteristically Minnesota way of thinking. Whether you are a 10th generation Minnesotan or you and your family moved north last year. At our best, we are earnest, hardworking, dedicated people, disciplined people, who every day, in big and small ways, try to figure out how to make things work better for the good of the whole. This is the heart of invention, and it is the heart of what makes Minnesota exceptional. In business language, we would call this our competitive advantage. Well, Minnesota's challenge for 2015 and beyond is to nourish the spirit of invention and to keep our competitive advantage. Inventive thinking applies obviously to making things work better, but it also must apply to making our politics and our communities work better. Better public services, better transportation, a stronger business climate, safer neighborhoods, excellent schools. To achieve this requires investment, for sure, but it also requires us to get better at challenging the status quo and measuring our progress. We need to replace words like, we tried that before, or that can't be done, with how would we make that work? The heart of invention beats in every contour of our state, from the apartment buildings in Cedar Riverside to the small towns and farms all across our state. Let's make sure the inventors and creative people all across have the tools they need to make their ideas fly. Invention and creativity, most importantly, lives in Minnesota's classrooms, embodied in Minnesota's outstanding teachers, and nascent in the hearts and minds of those bright-eyed kids sitting at their school desks. These future inventors, these children, they speak hundreds of languages. They have rich life experiences, and they hold the promise for our state. Let us follow Governor Dayton's lead and create a state of educational excellence that is worthy of their promise. Our history of invention is built on faith. It's built on the faith that we can do better. We can make progress. We can improve people's lives. This is our legacy, and this is our future. Best, I think, expressed by our old friend, Senator Wellstone, who said, "We all do better when we all do better." So, let's go out and invent our future, and in so doing, build an even better Minnesota. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Lieutenant Governor Smith. In 2011, Mark Dayton became the governor of the state of Minnesota, the 40th governor of the state of Minnesota. His time as governor was preceded by a lifetime of public service. He has served as a United States Senator, the 15th State Auditor of Minnesota, and as Minnesota's Economic Development Commissioner. Most importantly, in my view, Governor Dayton was a teacher in an inner-city school. And finally, I'm honored to be able to call Governor Dayton my friend. The Chief Justice will administer the oath of office, and Governor Dayton will be joined by members of his family.
I, Mark Dayton, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office
of Governor of the State of
of
Minnesota
Governor of the State of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Chief Justice Gilday. It's been an honor to work with you during the past 4 years. Justice Page, thank you for your extraordinary service to the people of Minnesota. Justice Lillehog, it's great to have you up here. On a personal note, I'd like to welcome the members of my immediate family who are with me today. My father, Bruce Dayton, who's now 96 years old, is here with his wife, Ruth. My brother Brant and my sisters Lucy and Ann have traveled from New York City and Helena, Montana. You just saw my wonderful son Eric, my daughter-in-law Corey, along with my grandson Hugo. Hugo makes 4 generations of Daytons who are here today. I want to give special thanks to my father, Bruce Dayton. Dad, you've been a guiding light throughout my life. I would not be standing here today without your love and support. Thank you. Vice President Mondale, Senator Klobuchar, Governor Anderson, Governor Quee, Justices of the Supreme Court, General Nash, Secretary Ritchie, Congressman Nolan, Mayor Coleman, Speaker Thiessen, Assistant Leader Sieben, Assistant Leader Murphy, Deputy Leader Hayden, and I'm going to stop there before I get in trouble, sorry, and the President of the Senate. Other distinguished guests, and my fellow Minnesotans. I thank you for the opportunity to serve as your governor for 4 more years. I especially want to thank you who voted for me and placed your trust in me. I will do my very best to serve you well. I will do my very best to serve all of Minnesota well. We gather today at a much better time than when I took this oath of office 4 years ago. Back then, both our state and our nation were struggling
to recover from the Great Recession. Minnesota's unemployment rate was 6.8%. Nationally, it was 9.1%. Since then, our country's economy has improved, and our state has helped lead the way. Minnesota's unemployment rate has dropped to a remarkable 3.7%. We've added over 191,000 jobs during the last 4 years, and we're not done yet. Recently, it was reported that our nation's economy grew at a 5% annual rate during the third quarter, the fastest pace in over 11 years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average topped 18,000. Many economists are now optimistic that our country is entering a period of more robust growth. Yet recent reports also show that inequities in Americans' wealth and income are at record highs. Perhaps that explains the large divide between the new optimism on Wall Street and the persistent pessimism on Main Street, where real wages and median family incomes have continued to fall, even during this recovery. 2/3 of Americans currently believe that our country is on the wrong track. Only 1/4 say it's now going in the right direction. But what is the right direction? Many Americans would like to go back in time to regain what they had before. The world, however, has moved into a new era marked by globalization, where companies and countries engage in fierce competition to create the lowest cost production sites in the world and to reap the profits from doing so. This dispersion of economic activity has cost millions of Americans their jobs, their economic security, and their confidence in the future. The world today offers many good opportunities. Yet while there are many roads to successful, fulfilling lives, there's essentially just one path. It is through education, training, and the development of marketable skills. Surrounded by low-cost competition, the United States retains one enormous advantage: the inventive and entrepreneurial abilities of our people. Most of our challengers, be they companies or countries, have not mastered the complexities of conceiving and designing new products and services, then organizing and financing them, then managing a group of people to produce or provide them. In Minnesota, we have a further advantage, one that has been our greatest asset for generations. Our citizens have long known that a good education is the key to our success. Now we need to realize that a good education is the key to our survival, and that an excellent education unlocks the door to unprecedented opportunities. Our future success, the health of our families, the vitality of our communities, and the prosperity of our state will depend upon our making those excellent educations available to all Minnesotans. We're partway there. We have ample evidence that most of our students are now receiving good educations. Many are getting great educations from talented teachers, professors, and other educators throughout our state. But are all of our students learning what they need to find good jobs and achieve success in the world that awaits them? If we're going to improve people's lives in our state, we have to improve their educations. We have to create a state of educational excellence. How? By investing in it. Now, there's a big difference between spending and investing. Spending is for now. People spend money to buy what they need or want right away. Investing is for the future. People invest money now to produce future benefits and rewards. Wise financial management requires understanding this difference and striking a proper balance between them. In the coming months, we will make important decisions about spending or investing a projected state budget surplus of over $1 billion. We could spend it to provide goods and services for more people. We could spend it to provide tax cuts for some people. I recommend that our top priority need to invest it in a better future. First and foremost, by investing it in excellent education. This means elevating our citizens' educations from good to excellent and making that educational excellence available to everyone. To begin, we need to make quality educational experiences available to all our children, even before they reach school age. In one of the best initiatives of my first term, we now offer free all-day kindergarten throughout Minnesota. We've created better opportunities for some 50,000 5-year-olds throughout our state to develop the intellectual and social skills they will need not just to survive, but to thrive. This new effort has also shown us the number of children who are not ready for kindergarten. If our response is to do nothing or too little to remedy the disparities, we know that they will later cause worse crises for those kids and for all of us. So we must expand and improve our early education and child care programs. Additionally, some children's needs go beyond early education. They must be better protected from neglect and abuse. We must do more to prevent the mistreatment of Minnesota's children and to intervene quickly and effectively when necessary. We must also develop the mental health resources to help them overcome those traumas. I don't have the expertise to design those initiatives. However, we have many legislators, educators, doctors, social workers, judges, and others who do. During the next 5 months, let us decide what more we must do to save our children, and then do it. After we get healthier, better prepared children into our schools, we need to elevate their academic experiences, from better elementary and secondary school academics, to better emotional support and career guidance, to post-secondary educations that will lead to better success. I don't want to spend more education dollars on what is being done now, and I won't spend more on doing less. I'll oppose 4-day school weeks, less time in classrooms, or shorter school years. The era of shortchanging our students' educations is over. Instead, I want investments for more time in studies and other developmental activities, for year-round school options, for after-school and special help services, for advanced high school and college courses and skills needed for the jobs of the future. In the face of such intense global competition, for the sake of our children and the continued growth of our state's economy, we cannot do anything less. Now, some critics will say, invest more money in education, but we spend so much already. Unfortunately, no, we don't. According to the most recent U.S. Census report, Minnesota presently ranks 24th among the 50 states in per-pupil elementary and secondary school spending. Our state support for higher education in real dollars recently fell to its lowest level in 30 years. During the past 4 years, we started to reverse the previous decade's disinvestment with all-day kindergarten, early childhood scholarships, per-pupil aid increases, and more post-secondary assistance. But those new investments have only returned Minnesota's education expenditures to the national average, and that's not good enough. Now, with a $1 billion surplus, the question is not, can we afford to provide Minnesotans with the best educations? The question is, can we afford to continue providing less? And the answer, obviously, is no. For that reason, and for the sake of our state's future, I will dedicate the next 4 years to regaining our state's position as a national and global leader in educational excellence. I want all Minnesotans to have access to the best possible educations, to the skills and training they will need to achieve their highest aspirations. In the days ahead, I will talk about other essential investments, including transportation. I also recognize that there are other important unmet needs in the lives of many Minnesotans. I know that many advocates sincerely believe their needs or their clients' needs should be our state's top priority and funded accordingly. I look forward to working with the outstanding legislative leaders who are here today and with their colleagues who will begin tomorrow to better address those needs. In closing, I note that much attention has been given recently to the divisions within our state. Most of them are familiar. During my 40 years in and around Minnesota governance, those resentments have simmered and occasionally erupted. There's greater Minnesota against the metro area, central cities versus suburbs, urban schools against rural districts, East Metro versus West Metro, cities, counties, and townships compared to other cities, counties, and townships. Someone always believes that someone else is getting a better deal. Those rivalries are not going to disappear. However, they cannot be permitted to blind us to the larger truth that we are all one Minnesota. What binds us together is so much more important than what pulls us apart. What helps one region usually benefits our entire state. Not always, but usually. Economic growth in one area pays for property tax relief in another. Good farm prices in southern Minnesota boost sales and revenues in metro stores. Shops in Duluth do better when the range is at full production. Better transit in the West Metro adds to the vitality of the East Metro and vice versa. Counties benefit when cities within their borders are thriving and when cities in other counties are thriving. What helps some Minnesotans usually helps all of us. So let's cheer each other's successes and not resent them. And finally, let's remember that not only are we all one, we're also number one. When it comes to promoting Minnesota's virtues, we're too modest. Besides, we're so often focused on what we think is wrong, we forget everything that is right. And if we remember, we're careful not to talk about it. But we do need to talk about it. Not as an exercise in collective self-esteem, but because we're competing with 49 other states and many countries to attract the best and the brightest. Students, scientists, nurses, doctors, mechanics, machinists, entrepreneurs, executives, the talent upon which our future success depends. When it's all added up and all sorted out, most of us live in Minnesota because we want to. We know we're not perfect, but we're very good, and we're getting even better. Let's not forget that our state is often recognized by national and international experts as among the best or even the very best. Casting all Minnesota modesty aside, we should be proud because we are so often the best. And because when we are, we have earned it through smart minds, good ideas, and hard work. Through all of us pulling together and making our state, despite lacking the advantages of ocean beaches or Rocky Mountains or fossil fuel riches, into a place unique and extraordinary. A state upon which we proudly emblazon our motto, L'Étoile du Nord, the Star of the North, and bequeath it even brighter to future generations. Thank you.
You may be seated. Congratulations, Governor Dayton. Thank you. At this time, I would like to call forward the Adjutant General of Minnesota, Major General Rick Nash, to accept the signed oaths of office to be delivered to the Secretary of State. As we conclude our ceremony, I want to offer my congratulations and appreciation to Governor Dayton, Lieutenant Governor Smith, Attorney General Swanson, State Auditor Otto, and Secretary of State Simon for their service to the state of Minnesota and for allowing me to be a part of this historic afternoon. Also, again, I want to thank the 34th Infantry Division Red Bull Band Brass Quintet, the Mount Vernon Gospel Choir, and Casey Riddle for sharing their musical talents with us this afternoon. The members of the Minnesota National Guard for the presentation of colors, and Rabbi Zimmerman for the invocation. As we witness the great gifts of our Constitution that our Constitution has provided, and celebrate the men and women who dedicate their careers to constitutional service, let us all leave here today with a renewed confidence in our great state and a reaffirmed commitment to protecting and upholding the freedoms, rights, and responsibilities that our state and our nation are built on. Please stand as the 34th Infantry Division Red Bull Band Brass Quintet performs the Minnesota Rouser. Thank you.